What if everything you thought you knew about one of history's most notorious figures was built on lies, political manipulation, and centuries of sensationalized storytelling? The woman known as the Blood Countess might be one of history's greatest victims of character assassination, and her real story reveals shocking truths about power, gender, and justice in medieval Europe. In the late 16th century, as Europe trembled under religious wars and political upheaval, Hungary stood as a crucial buffer between the Ottoman Empire and Christian Europe. Born into this turbulent world in 1560, Elizabeth Báthory entered life with advantages few could imagine. She belonged to one of Hungary's most powerful noble families, related to kings and princes, wielding influence that stretched across vast territories. The Hungary of Elizabeth's youth was a land of contradictions. While Western Europe slowly centralized under strong monarchies, Hungary remained a patchwork of semi-independent noble estates. The constant threat of Ottoman invasion created a militarized society where noble families maintained private armies and administered their own justice. Women of high birth often held significant power, managing vast estates while their husbands fought endless wars. Elizabeth's education reflected her elevated status. Unlike most women of her era, she received extensive schooling in multiple languages, including Latin, German, and Hungarian. Historical records show she was literate in at least 4 languages, an extraordinary achievement for any person of her time. This education prepared her for the complex administrative duties she would inherit as one of Hungary's wealthiest landowners. At 15, Elizabeth married Ferenc Nadasdy, a powerful military commander known as the Black Knight of Hungary. Their union combined 2 of the country's most influential families, creating a power bloc that controlled massive territories along Hungary's contested borders. While Ferenc led military campaigns against Ottoman forces, Elizabeth managed their extensive estates, overseeing thousands of peasants and serfs across multiple counties. The responsibilities Elizabeth shouldered were immense. She collected taxes, administered justice, managed agricultural production, and maintained the complex network of alliances that kept their territories secure. Historical documents from this period reveal a competent administrator who increased her family's wealth and influence through shrewd business decisions and careful political maneuvering. When Ferenc died in 1604, Elizabeth became one of Europe's most powerful women. As a widow controlling vast wealth and strategic territories, she posed a significant challenge to those who sought to consolidate power in Hungary. The political landscape was shifting rapidly, with the Habsburg monarchy working to centralize authority and reduce the independence of powerful noble families. Elizabeth's troubles began in 1610, when accusations surfaced claiming she had tortured and murdered young women. These charges came from György Thurzó, the Palatine of Hungary, and a political rival seeking to seize control of her territories. The timing was suspicious, coinciding with Elizabeth's increasing resistance to Habsburg centralization efforts and her refusal to surrender strategic castles to royal control. The trial that followed violated every principle of Hungarian noble law. Elizabeth was never formally charged, never appeared in court, and never had the opportunity to defend herself. Instead, Thurzó conducted a secret investigation, torturing her servants until they confessed to increasingly outrageous crimes. The testimonies extracted under torture claimed Elizabeth had killed hundreds of young women, bathing in their blood to maintain her youth. Modern historians have identified numerous problems with these accusations. The supposed victim count grew from dozens to hundreds as the investigation progressed, suggesting fabrication rather than genuine testimony. No bodies were ever found, despite claims of mass murder spanning decades. Most tellingly, the accusations perfectly served the political interests of those making them, providing justification for seizing Elizabeth's vast wealth and territories. The blood-bathing legend appears nowhere in the original trial documents. This sensational detail emerged decades later, added by writers who transformed Elizabeth's story into Gothic horror. The myth grew with each retelling, turning a complex political persecution into a simple tale of aristocratic evil that reflected popular anxieties about corrupt nobility. Elizabeth spent her final years imprisoned in her own castle, dying in 1614 without ever facing formal trial. Her death conveniently solved the problem of what to do with such a powerful woman who had become politically inconvenient. Her vast estates were immediately divided among her accusers and their allies, completing the transfer of power that the accusations had initiated. The transformation of Elizabeth Báthory from political victim to legendary monster reveals how historical narratives serve the interests of those who write them. Her story became a cautionary tale about the dangers of female power, reinforcing social expectations that women should remain subordinate to male authority. The Blood Countess legend provided a perfect example of what happened when women exceeded their prescribed roles. This pattern of demonizing powerful women appears throughout history. From Cleopatra to Catherine de' Medici, women who wielded significant political influence often faced posthumous character assassination that overshadowed their actual achievements. Elizabeth's case is particularly striking because the transformation from respected noblewoman to legendary monster happened so quickly and completely. Modern forensic analysis of the historical evidence suggests Elizabeth was likely innocent of the charges against her. The lack of physical evidence, the political motivations of her accusers, and the procedural violations of her trial all point toward a carefully orchestrated persecution designed to eliminate a powerful political opponent. Elizabeth's real legacy lies not in the Gothic legends that bear her name, but in what her story teaches us about power, justice, and historical truth. She represents the vulnerability of even the most privileged women in societies that viewed female independence as threatening. Her persecution demonstrates how legal systems could be manipulated to serve political ends, even when targeting the highest levels of society. The endurance of the Blood Countess legend also reveals our fascination with stories that confirm our prejudices about power and corruption. The tale of an evil noblewoman bathing in peasant blood appeals to modern sensibilities about class oppression, even though it obscures the real dynamics of medieval Hungarian society and the specific circumstances of Elizabeth's persecution. Perhaps most importantly, Elizabeth Báthory's story reminds us to question historical narratives that seem too convenient or perfectly aligned with the interests of those in power. The woman remembered as history's most prolific female serial killer was more likely a victim of one of history's most successful character assassinations, destroyed by men who coveted her wealth and feared her influence. Today, as we continue to grapple with questions of gender, power, and justice, Elizabeth Báthory's true story offers valuable lessons about the importance of due process, the dangers of political persecution, and the need to examine historical claims with critical skepticism. Her legacy challenges us to look beyond sensational legends and seek the complex human truths that lie beneath centuries of myth-making and political manipulation.